Are y'all drinking White Claws still?
Still would imply that I ever drank White Claws.
You weren't
I mean,
part
not
of the
I guess,
original cast.
Yeah, this is
Gabe.
like more of a
Okay.
question for this show. Basically, used to be like half promotion for White Claw back
Yeah,
when
it
we
was.
started it.
It's because we would record at your place, and then I started for no reason whatsoever, just started showing up with a 6-pack of White Claw.
You
every
started
episode.
drinking White Claw because you were like, beer, I'm so full and I drink beer.
It wasn't that I was full. It's just that I didn't feel good the day after drinking beer.
I
And
want to
so-
drink the exact same number of beers, but I want to feel better, and therefore White
Listen,
Claw.
this is me going
That's
full
the
California.
eternal struggle,
I'm gonna
yeah.
argue that I'm a celiac now. Like,
I ain't mad at it.
Culturally gluten intolerant.
mhm. My
Uh,
answer is I actually have in the last week. I bought a 6-pack. I don't remember when or why, but I did.
Okay,
What
Shannon.
flavor was it?
Grapefruit. That's the only one I like.
Wow. Okay. Well, that opinion is wrong, but it's okay. I do not drink it as often as I once did, but I will from time to time switch to White Claw if I've had too much of other things. And if it's my wind
So
down.
It's the off ramp.
Yeah, it's how I wind down from a night.
Skylar,
That's fair.
did you stop?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, not intentionally, not consciously, but I'm
Yeah,
thinking
same.
about it, and I think it's been like, I mean, maybe not a year, but it feels like maybe it's been a year since I've drank White Claw.
Wow.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm getting really into these
Tell us.
kombuchas.
Mm.
So that is
Hippie
kind
White
of
Claw.
There we go.
the space that was in my life that was being occupied by White Claw is now being occupied by these hard booches, of which
Skylar,
apparently I cannot get enough.
How
Can you-
California was that when we were watching game 6 of the Kings against the Warriors, and like it was a line of 3 of us all drinking hard kombucha.
Yeah, and like
Very-
eating
it
like
3
a
white
vegan
men?
hot dog.
Uh-huh.
I was like, dude, if the right wingers who hate listen to the show could like see us like eating our vegan hot dogs and drinking hard kombuchas at the game, like
It's perfect.
My question
it's like
about
being like,
the-
what just happened? I don't understand the rules to this game. Somebody help me.
Oh, my tummy hurts with the real stuff.
Can I have another kombucha, please? I'm just trying to work on my flora whilst getting intoxicated. My
That's
question about the kombucha, I also love the hard booch, which, as I say that right now, I'm surprised that's not like some sort of sexual
Oh, it is.
something.
It's the California hard booch. Absolutely.
The
Fucking
California
Wait,
booch.
Like,
No,
that's my drag name.
a hard booch.
Yeah. My
Hell
question
yeah.
about the hard booch, Skylar, is what's your favorite flavor?
I don't really have a preference. I will be honest, I do love the booch. I have become a real disciple of the booch, but not to the point where I can really honestly discern between the flavors that well. It kind of all just sort of, I mean, if I have one right next to another one, then I can tell. What's that? They had, Dave, what were we drinking, like pink lemonade ones or something at Tomato Alley while we were watching that game?
Of course you were drinking fucking
Now that it was
pink
something along those
lemonade,
lines.
dude.
That was very tasty. I will say that.
It was
Like
yummy.
drinking pink
And it didn't
lemonade,
make my
hard
tummy hurt.
kombucha on a homemade sourdough bun with
Artisanal.
artisanal peppers. And
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be a soy boy, it's go big or go home, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You got to go all the way. You got to commit. You know.
fucking hell yeah, man.
It feels good.
I mean, do
I-
the right wingers hate the hard booch more than they hate Budweiser now?
That's a good
Mm,
question. I think no, because I have not seen any videos of like Kid Rock shooting
right.
12-pack of kombuchas, but
He should get
might
on
not
that.
know.
It's
He
too
might not know
expensive.
that they exist.
That's true.
Yeah. Also, they're like $3 a can, even
Yeah,
if you
it's
buy
like
them at the store.
$18 for a 6-pack. You know, that's a lot to shoot.
You got to get them at
Chris
the,
Rock doesn't have that kind of money.
Yeah, Kid
you gotta
Rock
get
can't
'em at
even afford that
the
shit.
Or
local-
Kid Rock. That's-
the local corner store. I feel when I buy them up here at my local corner market,
Second Ave.
the CPM.
Sorry, did I just dox you?
I feel like I've doxed myself on this program many a time. I haven't given like direct details to where I live, but
You've said several times that you're in a district that shifted in the redistricting, I think. So that if somebody was keeping track, then they could figure it out that way.
right. I have also definitely given the cross streets to where I live before. So right
Much
wingers,
more
you should definitely
specific,
listen, dive deeper into this show. Anyway, the point was not to further dox myself, but to say that the corner store in my hood, a 6-pack of my favorite hard booch, which is Giant's Guavamente, is it's under $10.
What?
That's
This
incredible.
is a game changer for old
In
Skylar,
this-
who
in this
also
economy?
lives in the same
In
area
this
and
economy.
enjoys the booch.
Well, to be fair, the last time I bought a 6-pack was probably a month ago, but because I started switching to buying like tall cans so that I can try various flavors. Also because here's the thing, at the end of the day, I'm a fucking lazy bitch and I don't want to get up and get can after can of the little ones. Give me this shit in a big can so I can sit on my porch and chain smoke and read my stories.
That is the bet. That is like word for word
Stories.
how they should advertise that product. Like, you think I have time to fucking be getting up all the damn time? I don't.
This is how we know we're all getting older. Like,
And y'all, I've been said I am a 40-year-old, but I feel 80. When I was 37, I felt like I was 90. So I'm getting younger.
So I have a proposal for Skylar and I's future bar. We're gonna make a booch called Lazy Bitch Booch, and it can have your face on it, and the tagline will be, "So I can sit outside, chain smoke, and read my stories."
Fuck
like
yeah, man.
I love that, dude. Okay, you heard it here, folks. Refer back to this episode when we have made this a reality and all is right with Sacramento.
God, what a time to be alive.
and to all of our sober listeners, we swear there's an episode coming up.
Well,
just
there's-
hang tight.
This is the wrong
There's
podcast.
there's soft booches too that have been around for a lot longer, and I feel like a lot of our sober
That's right.
listeners have probably been enjoying soft booches for years now.
Yeah,
I
they
also
do. They
love
are like
soft booch.
0.1% alcohol, even those.
Trace amounts of alcohol. It's true.
Mhm.
We'll make an NA version of Lazy Bitch Booch.
There you go.
Mhm.
It'll be there.
I love the inclusivity.
Yeah,
Mhm.
lazy dry bitch.
You lazy, dry bitch. You need to read your stories.
Lazy.
for when you're not feeling wet.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
That is honestly, this is a fantastic product that we need to make.
God
Yeah.
damn.
We're onto something.
I love
Marketing
it here.
geniuses.
Entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs.
Well, we've got an ep ahead of us.
Yeah,
we
and I
do.
need to go start up this culture or whatever I need to do to get this thing started.
It's a
So,
Scooby.
A Scoby.
Gobi.
okay, I'm gonna go Scooby out in the tub, and yeah, I'll see y'all on the flip.
He's
You're
gonna
making
make it
it
in
in
the
the
same
tub?
tub where
Yeah.
he.
Sick.
Of course,
Is it
That's
also
good
a
bacteria.
that's
vaccine?
where I make all the best stuff. That's where
It's
I
a
do all
hard
my best
booch
work.
and a vaccine. God
Yeah.
damn, I love 2023.
If you drink fucking dry bitch booch or whatever, you don't even have to wear a seatbelt when you drive in a car.
Hot
That's how
damn.
safe you are.
Wow.
Adorable.
Incredible.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you later, Skylar, and let's start the show.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do that.
Voices, the things they said. Voices, some from those dead. All the voices heard. Voices, things we say. Voices. voices, they're in your head. All the voices heard.
Oh, hello, everyone. You have Kempa.
Also Shannon.
You got Gabe.
How's it
Oh,
going? Neil?
damn.
Feeling good?
Feeling good? Yeah.
I'm feeling like my flora is being taken care of whilst I drank this hard booch.
What are you drinking?
Me?
Yampa? Yeah.
It's I believe it's Petite Syrah.
In a coffee mug. I love it, man.
Well, it's still
Every
light out. You
episode.
can't tell, listeners. But I like to hide my issues.
It's 11:35 somewhere. I have
But
this
yeah.
Island Beats tropical IPA, which is
Do you feel like you're on an island
yeah.
Good.
with beets?
Yeah. It's almost like I'm
my two
not in the
favorite
middle
things.
of with beets. Yeah, island. Yeah. I but instead I'm in a valley covered with pollen jizz and
Sick.
which I don't think like islands have a problem with because it just gets blown away.
Jizz trees.
Jizz trees.
I got one of those fuckers
yeah.
in the front yard.
Well, yeah, we're recording a little early this week. It's always like a little bit of a different vibe when we do that, but I actually have energy this week. Last time we did this during the day, I did not, so I'm excited about this episode.
Energetic Kempa.
Woo! Let's fucking go. All right, so
Well, that's not where I'm at.
no, all right, I'll carry the team.
I've rarely been there.
So today, I would just like to begin with the fact that, you know what? We love the work that we do. If you love the work that we do, consider going down to patreon.com/voicesrivercity for as little as $5 a month, as much as $25 a month. You could become a patron. With the $25 a month, you will get a mug and a t-shirt. One of our great $25 a month listeners re-upped recently, so that was really exciting to see. So thank you for that. And we've got exclusive content on the site. We will have exclusive hangouts, potentially one including a mayoral candidate.
That's coming up, right?
Yeah, we haven't set a date
like
for that yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
She is not in town.
Oh.
But we'll get that thing moving. But yeah, I mean, let's just start the show.
Let's do it.
All right.
We have some super upbeat things to talk about.
As per usual.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, it's somewhat happier. I mean, than other weeks. Like
it's a conflicted feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't I start with the prison story?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So some of you might know California. It's honestly, it's one of the only things that like Governor Gavin Newsom has been on an okay trajectory on in recent years during his tenure. He has worked towards decarceration of nonviolent criminals. He has worked towards shutting down particular prisons. It's been surprisingly refreshing to see. His next step, as we're seeing, is that, well, also he has the really right when he got into office as governor, or at least it was 4 years ago, he put a moratorium on all
executions,
state executions of convicted murderers. And, we haven't really had a state execution in 17 years in California. So it might have been a little superfluous, but him making that executive decision, it sort of set in stone that we're not going to kill anyone in prison while he is in office. Now, that doesn't mean this is a law. That doesn't mean we've abolished the death penalty. We've tried in 2014, 2018, 2012, 2016, one of those two, a couple times and failed barely both times to put an end to the death penalty here, but I think it's possible. And anyway, watching this sort of decarceration process happen, it brings me a little bit of hope, a little glimmer of hope. The big news story is, and there's a local hook to it, is that Newsom has decided that he's going to take San Quentin Prison, which is a Bay Area prison, long history, dark history, the oldest prison in our state, and he's going to turn it into a rehabilitation facility, right? What is the term they used?
It is
Rehabilitation and education facility that will focus on preparing inmates for their transition back into civilian life. So the idea here is that it would be more towards the Nordic model. A lot of those very Northern European prisons, they provide fairly livable conditions for as much as you can when, prison, where you can cook, you can do your own laundry, you are a person who has control over some things in your life, and you can work towards getting out of prison. And what we do know about that is the recidivism rate, the chances of going back to prison once you're out, plummet when you have programs in place and a lifestyle in place that allows you to have more of a sense of, I am a human being, I am worthy of respect, than in our current, hellscape that is the United States carceral punitive prison system.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is there's like obviously some very stark contrast between this and the way that some of the other states have been handling their carceral system in terms of like overcrowding, putting people in absolute just like deplorable conditions. You hear the horror stories of inmates that are outside, when it's 115 degrees in Arizona, living in a cell that's meant as either a holding cell or as solitary confinement for months or even years. You had that prisoner not that long ago who was like literally eaten alive by bug beds. Did I say that right? Bed bugs.
Nope, bed bugs.
There we go. And I think that there's, like you said, it's like gives you a glimmer of hope, but then you have this conflicted feeling of like as an abolitionist, someone who doesn't believe in prison, especially under capitalism, it's like, is this a step in the right direction in order to kind of restore some humanity of these people who have been caught up in an unjust justice system, and then also trying to ensure that there are the lower rates of recidivism and that people actually have the opportunity to reintegrate into society? I think like absolutely this is something that we should be paying attention to, and hopefully that other states can see a successful model to move towards.
I think it's like, as I was prepping for the show and thinking more about this, because of course, like, I think the first reaction to potential changes in the carceral system, starting especially with a place like San Quentin, like my initial gut reaction is like, well, that's so necessary. But immediately following, something like this causes sort of like more excavation into like, if we're actually talking about creating spaces where people are rehabilitated and have like access to education, whatever, why are we not also talking about, or why is the governor not also talking about putting effort and dollars into prevention? And what does that look like? We know that the reason that people end up incarcerated or committing like crimes, as they're called under our capitalistic structures, is often as a result of the need to survive, right? So like,
right.
if like if you're going to create space, like a carceral system that prioritizes rehabilitation and education for people who are on the inside, then let's also think about, and because you're trying to reduce recidivism, like let's go all the way back to why, like why folks end up there anyway, and also put time and energy into that. And I know that's like a fucking pipe dream, because that's not how capitalism works. And like, we wouldn't even need an abolitionist framework if, you know, our leaders actually gave a shit about people. But I immediately found myself there.
Yeah.
As I was thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that, back when Flo was a host, she could speak to the determinants of crime on an incredibly deep level, from childhood to adulthood. You know, there are determinants. You can actually like put a point. There's a point system that public health experts have that say, you know, were you sexually assaulted as a child growing up?
ACEs.
Yeah, ACEs. Did you have
Adverse
domestic
childhood
violence in your home? Well, you know, like all of these things, and it determines by percentages. It really can show you where you're most likely to end up once you reach adulthood, and that's what we're talking about here. That we have a society where we don't take care of each other, where housing is not a human right, where we don't have a robust social safety net. And as a result, we throw all of our money towards the punitive carceral system, because Democrats wanted to out-Republican the Republicans in the 90s, and here we are. And as a result, this is the situation we're in. And you see one little step in the right direction, but yeah, I mean, I have the same trepidation. It's like, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, because the reactionaries are just going to come back stronger. If there's ever, you know, some sort of arbitrary little uptick in some kind of crime, they will use that as far as they can to once more pull out our, make our prison system more robust, our policing more robust.
And more cruel. I mean, like the reactionaries are always advocating for more extreme measures. It's like they have no interest in rehabilitation at all. It's not, they don't even have a veneer of it. They are absolutely they are the frothing mouthed, like vicious creatures that are just absolutely like committed to causing people as much pain and suffering if they commit a crime. And it doesn't even matter what the crime is. Like from their perspective, someone who gets caught shoplifting a third time is the same as, someone who murdered a woman walking home. It doesn't make a difference to them. They're all criminals. They're all bad. It's the, kill them all and let God sort them out type of mentality that they have. And it's really disturbing. And I think that
it is.
When you look at, especially right now, their primary narrative within the culture war is the, other than like trans people's existence, is that crime is at an all-time high, despite countless studies showing that that's not the case. And if you spend time on Twitter and you see videos of a Walgreens getting looted or whatever, or a CVS saying like we're going to close our location in this city, and it's of course it's because of these liberal communists that are making prisons a luxury and not actually putting anyone in jail, which is like, again, contrary to all the evidence that we have the highest rate of people in prison in the world, and we are not at all changing course on that. It's going to continue being that way just because California might be taking a stance on one particular prison. Doesn't mean that we're not flipping the story on this. Yeah.
So it sounds like we're all like, this is a good thing, but like none of us are holding our breaths.
Mm-hmm.
To bring it local, which I was meaning to do earlier, Governor Newsom has tapped a local politician to head up the transition. What Newsom is hoping for is in this year's budget to get $20 million to totally redo a bunch of things at San Quentin to turn it into a more rehabilitative institution center, fucking prison. And the person he wants doing that is Mayor Darrell Steinberg of Sacramento, which I found to be very interesting. Steinberg being on the fence of if he wants to be mayor anymore after this tenure after 2024, as well as Steinberg's been sort of poking and prodding to get appointed to a judge position. So any thoughts on this?
I mean, my first thought when reading this was like, what was the thought process for Newsom to choose Steinberg? Like, if you were doing a byline qualification analysis, like what qualifications does Steinberg have that would put him in a position to head up prison reform?
I honestly, I mean, I guess I know that you're not like necessarily asking that question to be answered, or to be answered here, but like, I think that Steinberg, it's one of those situations where it's like credit where credit's due for this guy, right? And we have done that on this show. But for whatever reason, like this guy finds himself at the forefront of these conversations with Newsom, to where like it's like Newsom just like cannot wait to give Steinberg just a little bit more power than he already has, right? Like he, for whatever reason, and I think in this case, I suspect that it probably has something to do with the work that Steinberg has led on mental health. And so when thinking about incarceration and like, what the fuck does incarceration do to people? It definitely, if somebody doesn't already come in to the carceral system living with mental health symptoms or diagnoses, then they will experience them as a result of that traumatic bullshit. But I think that's probably where this comes from. And Steinberg has been, at the center of conversations around like care court, which is, mandated mental health. It's essentially like conservatorship for people who are living with severe mental health diagnoses. So I would bet that has something to do with it. But I guess like my question is more like what measurable outcomes has Steinberg produced in order to that actually are like human-centered and work toward creating more humane systems, period. Like that's what I want to know before somebody takes the lead on something like this.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything both of you said. I think they're old friends. Darrell is the former Senate Pro Tem at the Capitol. I'm sure he and Gavin worked on a lot of things together during that time. Darrell's career started with really a focus on ADA issues. And it kind of over time, he really started diving more and more into mental health as his pet issue. And most people at the Capitol have kind of a single pet issue, one or two, that is the thing that you come to for them, on. And I think you're right, Shannon. I think there is that little tie in there. As far as measurable outcomes, I don't know. I'm sure he has things that he would say are measurable outcomes, but
well, yeah, I mean, also, I think that measurable outcomes for people who give a shit about community and abolition are so different than the measurable outcomes that white dudes wearing suits every day.
Yeah, well, creating a program doesn't mean anything's going to fucking happen. And if you don't fund it, then what it's just a thing you did that like you created that will last 6 months. But yeah, so I don't know kind of where that comes from. There's a part of me that wonders if, due to this sort of limbo he's living in, as he's considering stepping down as mayor and still doesn't have an appointment as a judge, maybe this is sort of an interim kind of high profile place that Gavin is giving him to exist in, because we've talked about this before. When you're so high profile, when you have all this power, it's hard to kind of step down and wait in this limbo and not know if you'll ever end up somewhere again, like a judgeship or something.
Yeah, I mean, and especially for somebody that we know as being so interested in like being seen and heard and well liked, and like, you know, this, like, Steinberg just wants to be your buddy.
Yeah.
But he just makes some choices along the way that make that real fucking difficult.
Yeah. Can I go ahead, Gabe? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that also as something that was made a side note in this story that I don't think should be, because it was literally mentioned in like half of a sentence, is that the 546 death row inmates at San Quentin will be transferred to other facilities when these changes, whatever they are implemented. And I wonder if that, I mean, I don't wonder, I think that was probably some kind of concession to make any critics of this, you know, like, well, we're still going to make sure the death row inmates are at a shitty place. You know, we're not going to give them the Nordic model prison. Like, fuck them. We don't have to worry about. We're going to move them out, you know, get some other people to take their spots that will have a better experience.
Yep. I mean, that's been my read on this too. It's sort of deciding who does and doesn't deserve to feel like a human. And if you are guilty of murder, according to this policy, moving them out, putting them into these other prisons with, you know, the same horrible conditions that they've always had here in California, under the same horrific prison guards, worse than cops in many, many ways. You know, it does that. I've been thinking about that a lot. You know, we've had. He did say, let's put a moratorium on killing, you know, these death row inmates, but there's no step forward. He's tried no step forward on granting anything beyond that for folks. We've seen, you know, our good friend Jen Abreu, who runs an amazing nonprofit that works to get folks in prison, you know, freed. One of them being Sirhan, who killed Robert F. Kennedy. You know, she worked so hard to get Sirhan that recommendation for parole, and he got it. And it went to Governor Newsom's desk, and Newsom vetoed it. He said, fuck that. Go back to prison. To this 80-something-year-old man who just wants to live out the rest of his days with his brother and see the ocean. So I don't know. That tells me that Newsom's humanity is nowhere near what he's kind of claiming it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was opportunistic. Like, and it's humanity can always take a backseat to political motivations and maneuvering. And you know, it's like putting a moratorium on executions. Like you said, it doesn't put anything, it's not a law, right? And we have, you know, countless studies and statistics about the amount of folks who have been executed in the United States who were later, you know, found not to be guilty of the crimes that they were accused of. And that, I think, is a huge argument on those who wish to abolish the death penalty, is that the people that are being executed might be innocent. And if you can't guarantee that they're guilty, then you definitely don't have a right to kill them. And that's just like, you know, on the top, an easy low-hanging fruit for people to latch onto. But
look, I got to get him a little credit for that too, then, because he did start a lawsuit claiming that the death penalty is racist to try and end it here in California. I forgot about that.
Newsom?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and he lost.
yeah. But it's hard to kind of put any political figure in this position, because you always know that at the end of the day that their feelings about any specific policy or position that they're taking is not necessarily in line with their actions. And at the end of the day, then their personal feelings don't really fucking matter, because if it's all dependent on how they're going to pursue it, then that trumps anything else.
Yeah. Well, anything else on this topic? Because we've got at least one more to cover here, and yeah.
I mean, I hope that we see something.
Totally.
And they got a year and a half and $20 million. Let's hope it doesn't become the high-speed train from San Francisco to LA.
Yeah, and the 20 million is not even promised yet, but hopefully they get that.
Right.
It's proposed in the budget. Well, cool. Let's move on to the next topic. A topic that we all hold near and dear. Our dear friend, city council member from District 1, Lisa Kaplan. Where do we start with her? Shannon, do you want to start with her?
Yeah, where do we start with her? Well, I mean, I guess we should start with a brief background on everyone's favorite white woman on the city council dais, Lisa Kaplan.
We're going to just tell you why she increasingly is writing up a resume for just being the worst person. Even worse than Sean Laloy, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
She's a white woman. It's not.
Sean just wants to party, guys.
Yeah, he just wants to fucking party.
He just wants
17 cars in his front yard. Right. Just leave the guy alone. Fuck.
Give him a gun and some liquor and we're good.
Yeah. He's ready to get the party started. So Lisa Kaplan, an attorney and also longtime member of the Natomas Unified School Board District Board of Trustees.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a more complicated name, people. She ran for the District 1 seat, which the person that held that seat for 12 years before her was everyone's previous favorite white woman on the dais, Angelique Ashby.
Sacramento's mommy.
Sacramento's mommy. So Ashby was in that seat for 12 terrible years, and Lisa Kaplan came in hot, ready to get the party started with 61% of the vote, and she was sworn in on December 13th, and on December 14th she started fucking shit up. Though she did promise her constituents that she was going to work with the same passion that she did her previous roles as an attorney and Natomas Unified School Board.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck.
In her run for city council, by the way, she took money from all the baddies.
She took money from cops. She took money from fire. She took money from the California Real Estate PAC. She took it from the California Apartment Association. She took it from the Metro Chamber. She was like, you know what? If you suck, I would like to have your money. Because the thing is that if you suck and you give me your money, I can suck for you.
I'll suck for you.
For you. And it was definitely, the people who were worried about her, becoming a city council member. I think we were absolutely worried that she wasn't going to bring her passion. That was something that she needed to address. It was the lack of passion that I was worried about.
I heard that it was a primary concern for a lot of people. So I'm glad that she led with that, and that she continues to prove that her passion really is the thing that just gets things going. So in case all of the people that gave her money did not help us understand what kind of person she is, she also supported Measure O, which essentially was like, do you want to sweep encampments? Go for it. So
even if it's unconstitutional, it's cruel and unusual punishment.
We don't give a fuck about anything except for sweeping encampments. So we're going to do it. Cruel and unusual punishment be damned.
Yeah, her tagline was Lisa Kaplan, fuck them poors.
Correct. Yeah. But she said it passionately.
Right.
And
very
so
passionately. A lot of passion.
that we got to remember that. So here's the deal. She's like, she has what someone else on the dais may refer to as some decorum issues. And I feel like we really got to see that. I mean, just in general, if the things that we've already listed haven't given you an idea of what kind of passion this person harnesses from the dais, we saw last night during the city council meeting, last night being Tuesday, May 9th, there was a point toward the end of the meeting where Councilmember Katie Valenzuela out of District 4 just brought up, to me, very simply and succinctly, how do we actually get stuff on the dais? On the agenda for this meeting? Because I was told that this is one way to do it. And I'm a little bit confused because I've gone through those avenues and my shit hasn't shown up on the agenda.
Yeah. So they created a whole new structure in City Hall since the last election.
A whole new structure.
You have different committees that
they're like, let's
it has to go through some of these committees before the mayor and or city manager decide that these proposals come back to city council. And as a result, this is maybe why this entire year so far has felt lame duck, because nothing has fucking happened at City Hall.
I mean, if you're paying attention to any of the agendas, which I look every week to be like, am I going to watch the council meeting or am I going to go to the bar and drink? Or am I going to watch my stories on the television? Am I going to chain smoke outside and watch my stories or read my stories? Or am I going to watch the council meeting? And the agendas have not been dope.
No, it's boring as fuck. I don't know what they're doing. But I do think it's because of these obstructive new, committees they've created. And as Katie said on Tuesday night, her friends in other city councils are like, wait, you can't get a majority of your council to get something on the agenda? And she's like, no, we can't. They're like, you definitely can. That's not true. You can. She's like, absolutely not. That is in law in Sacramento. So we have an incredibly fucked up system here in Sacramento, including these new committees, which are obstructionists really by nature. So anyway, sorry, Shannon, you were saying that she was asking basically the city manager and the mayor, hey, I've presented these things to you.
Right.
They continue to not be on the agenda. What's going on?
And when can I expect things to be on the agenda? Or is there a misunderstanding? She explained the process as she knows it and essentially was like, am I misunderstanding this process? Whatever. She was calm, collected, very her, as always, super, succinct in her ask. And it was regarding something, I forget what, it was some program or something. And she's like, I don't want to relitigate this program and if that's the right thing to do or not. And yet still the city manager, Howard Chan, got incredibly defensive about that. And she had to be like, no. This guy I just want to talk about procedure here. This guy, Howard Chan, the city manager, lives in a bubble of defense. But Lisa Kaplan, with all of her passion, responded straight away by saying, in the most, just this fucking passive aggressive nose right up the butt crack of Darrell Steinberg and Howard Chan. Lisa Kaplan shits all over Councilmember Valenzuela and is like, I just want to start out by saying, I am not confused.
I love the process.
Have no confusion about the process. And the reason I have no confusion about the process is because I trust you, mayor and city manager. So she was like, it wasn't enough that she did the super fucking privileged white woman bullshit from the dais, but she also just had to like hammer that nail in a little bit harder and make sure that Howard and Darrell understand that she is still here to do their work, their dirty work, and make sure she was like, wink, wink. I get it. Like, I am not confused. Don't worry, guys. On my committees, I'll make sure that shit never makes it on the agenda.
Yeah. And so, like, there's a few committees, one of them being law and legislation, which is a very important one. And friend of the show, Katie Valenzuela, is the chair for that. But she's surrounded by a bunch of conservative pricks on this committee. And so she can't get anything done there. So
how she maintains any sense of composure.
Oh God, I don't know.
Because I've watched some of those law and ledge meetings, and it's like,
well, Lisa's a fucking problem in those meetings.
Problem after problem, yeah.
She did that weird thing when like SEIU 1000 basically was asking like City Hall to be like, hey, can you support our ask that everyone supporting that everyone in our negotiations, acts in good faith, like nothing beyond that, not supporting us. And
she slippery sloped it.
Yeah. She was like, well, not, all unions matter. What about fire? What about?
And, she tried to throw in the
gross.
Like, well, if we do that, then like we will have to vocally support every union. And if we don't, what would they think about us? Like they would feel hurt. And there's so much that I want to say on Kaplan. But I'm going to stick to this particular topic.
Oh, I want you to say whatever you want.
Well, first I want to touch on like
approximately
Darrell.
12 minutes.
I want to touch on Darrell's response first to Katie's comment, because his immediate response was provide examples where the process isn't working.
Right.
And she does.
Mm-hmm.
And he immediately says, provide more examples.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just moving the goalpost. Right. And then Kaplan's incredibly condescending, fucking just apps. I couldn't, like, watching that, I was just like trying not to throw up while she talked.
Dude, yeah.
Like it was like I felt like she was just gonna like turn and just have shit all over her face from having her entire head up their
all the way.
Yeah,
all the way up.
and
up two asses at once.
What I think is
it's called passion.
is absolute. It's poop passion for the poop. That she served on the Natomas school board for like 15 years. I don't even know how long.
Time. Yeah.
But her response
20 maybe
is antithetical to everything educators do, and I will explain why. She basically was listening to someone saying like, this process that you've set out doesn't work. And her response was not to address the concern, but to reiterate the effectiveness of the process, which as like an educator, if you had a student who was saying like, hey, I don't understand something, it would be like your brown-nosed student raising their hand and being like, I absolutely have no problem understanding this assignment. And I think that it's a great assignment. And I would like to do more assignments like this.
right.
And then the teacher just being like, oh, well, they understand. So I'm not going to do anything to like scaffold this to make sure that you understand the process, how to do the assignment, the problems, what I'm expecting from you.
Yeah.
And I just, that speaks volumes to her character as well as her past professional life. Every political figure runs a campaign on transparency, because that's like, fucking the 50 cent word of the day for every political figure. And, Kempa, you and I know from our experience that she's not transparent. Like,
no,
she's a two-sided slimy little snake in the grass. And
we've PRA'd you, Lisa. We've seen what you've said.
yeah. Behind closed doors, we understand.
Yeah.
And I think that it's the fact that she felt like she needed to do that. I just like, I can't even like wrap my head around it.
Yeah. Well, and like, that's what brings me to think that it really is something a little bit more nefarious. It really is this more, it's the conservative bloc of City Hall knowing that with a more progressive city council, they needed to create structures that would obstruct. And they've done this with these committees. All they needed to do, Howard needed to get his toady Lisa Kaplan in there to just gum up the fucking works, right? And she's doing it. And I like, that's what it seems like to me. So her just, being like that little student, like, I think you're a great teacher. Like, that's her just being like, it's her saying fuck you to Katie.
Oh, yes.
And like, Councilmember Mai Vang actually came out, it's the end of a council meeting. So everyone has little announcements to make. And like, Lisa did this little aside before her announcements to just sort of come at Katie. And then Mai, during hers, actually did an aside as well to support Katie, which was kind of cool to see. And she's like, listen, I've had these same questions. Just because you are, also like sticking your head, Howard, up Lisa's ass and doing everything that she wants to end up on the agenda. Like, similarly, other progressives on the dais are not seeing the things that they have wanted to see go through, go into the city council meetings. So that's, I don't know, that's what I think is happening. And I just think structurally, it's really fucked up. Whatever has gone on, whatever new structure they've created here, it's the entire council is lame duck. Darrell, you're going to like fucking slouch out of City Hall if you guys don't change something here. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. They're just waiting for the next round of folks to come on. Yeah, I guess I don't fucking know. It's garbage. And I mean, it just creates it creates more scenarios where the city manager just has more and more power, because this means that no matter who comes in for the next mayoral term, this process exists. And Howard will likely still be in that position, and he will still, so that will give him sort of like equal footing to the mayor.
At least the mayor can agendize things. Right.
But
so if Flo becomes mayor, she can at least agendize things the progs want on the
totally
agenda. Yeah.
But it does that thing where it's like it does still create hurdles. It can slow down the process in some ways. And I think it's like Howard knows if Flo is elected, Flo understands city government, right? And she understands that she would have the power to agendize things.
He considers her a threat. Yeah.
Totally. But if it were someone else, who knows? Yeah.
I was going to say, is this like Steinberg's way of getting revenge for the strong mayor initiative, like not passing? Is that he wants to like, okay, well, you have turned down my quest for more power, so I'm going to make the city council as ineffective as possible and have lackeys, gumming up the system so that, initiatives that you want aren't going to, like, fuck you, people.
Honestly, I think this is about like a toxic relationship. It's like toxic egos, a toxic relationship with power. Like, you just see, like, it's the patriarchal bullshit that exists in so many spaces, right? You've got like these two dudes who are
older men in leadership.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just not sure that Darrell is that forward thinking enough, Gabe. Like,
yeah,
it's true.
But maybe he is.
I have like kind of a final question on this about Lisa, is that, when I talk about Angelique Ashby, the former District 1 council member, a lot of people have come around to like, oh yeah, she's not good, except for a lot of white women, which is really interesting to me. And I'm wondering kind of how this pans out with Kaplan, if that will be the same thing, where white women will, till they're blue in the face, say that she's progressive, and the rest of us are like, yeah, but look at what she's doing. Because I don't know. I'm looking at this. Yeah, I know that Katie Valenzuela and Mai Vang endorsed her. And
Right.
I'm wondering if they're regretting it. I would think that they are starting to. But I don't know. Like, how does this pan out as we continue to go down this path in this city? Because she does do kind of the very like condescending matriarchal figure thing that Angelique kind of did.
She brings the stepmom energy for sure.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if Ashby was the mom, then Kaplan is definitely the stepmom.
Oh, hell yeah, she is. And I don't know. I mean, I can only imagine that, especially in moments like last night, that Katie and Mai have those like, fuck, like, I endorse this lady, like, face palm thing.
Not like there were any great, folks to choose
that's
from
the
in
other
District
thing.
1. There was a real estate agent, I think, or something that
Right.
she was up against. Yeah.
I
That's
think
just the
what
nature
it
of
like
District 1.
Lisa Kaplan is what a lot of what do we call her? She's a moderate, I guess. I guess I don't know everything about her, but whatever. She is on the spectrum of mod to prog, and she's a white woman in a position of power. So none of her behavior should be surprising to us. It's disappointing that this is how she is choosing to take up space on the dais.
As an obstructionist?
Yeah. She's just living into what it's a majority POC dais, right? And so
Also,
sorry,
I think that her
it is majority POC.
I'm actually trying to think about
I was like, okay,
yeah, it's like that GIF that has like the math,
the lady with the math in front of her head. Yeah.
her monologue on the SEIU, I think, was also incredibly telling. Like when she started it off, it was like, there's no question of our support of unions.
We love unions.
It's the same bullshit Amanda Blackwood does too, actually. Like, it's sort of like you paint this rosy picture and then you shove in like shitty policy afterwards.
Just shove it in there.
And for her to bring up, she was like, and the teachers union, and like during her run, the Natomas Teachers Association did not endorse her. And I think that there are a lot of ways that you can vote when you're determining who you're going to cast a ballot for. But one of the things that I always look for is like who the teachers are endorsing. It's like the teachers and the nurses association. Like these are the first two unions that I'm looking at of who they're throwing their support behind. And then I do, further research, but like for a school
1021, they're real ones.
Yeah. And for a school board member to seek the endorsement of the Teachers Association for the district that she was working in for so many years, to get denied that was incredibly telling. So when she says something or starts her monologue with like, there's no question of my love for the union, it's like, fuck you. You didn't like, I know, we know how you feel. You didn't, you like the primary union that was for the district, like didn't even support you. So like, no, I'm sure behind closed doors, you have no love for those people.
You fucking hate unions.
Yeah.
And if you're a listener and you're with SEIU 1000, she fucking hates you. Can we briefly touch on this final topic?
Yeah.
Because we only have a few minutes, but our hero Queen of California.
Amen.
Di-Fi, my guy, Dianne Feinstein, is back, baby. Gabe, can you tell us what's happening here with 89 years, 11 months-year-old Dianne Feinstein, senior senator of California?
So, senator of Weekend at Bernie's, because I actually do believe that she's dead and that they are just parading her corpse around in order to avoid the coming storm.
She's wearing a lot of sunglasses these days.
Oh God!
Somebody tweeted that she died en route to DC and they disposed of her body in the ocean like Osama bin Laden.
God, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm just reporting the tweets, folks.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I don't make the news.
A news program.
I mean,
some people are saying.
I don't even think that people are those who are calling for her resignation are concerned about her physical health. It's overall her mental capacity. Like there's a very good chance that she has dementia, that she's completely unaware of who she is and what she's doing. I mean, she's been in the game for so long. And
so can we report out kind of what's happened? So she's been out of
since
DC since February.
Yeah.
She came down with shingles, but for years, 2-3 years before that, there's been lots of very reliable reporting that her mental acuity is fast
garbage
on the downswing. And so, falling ill with shingles that can have a bunch of really bad effects on your health. And, the fact that it's taken her this long to come back is really concerning for folks. There have been calls for her to resign, not just from Congress members, but from major periodicals. The New York Times said, if you can't come back to DC, resign. Friend of the show, Robin Epley, wrote a fantastic fucking piece in the Bee on this. If you haven't read that, go check that out, folks, on why really her not resigning is harmful to women.
It's an RBG all over again.
Exactly.
It's like 100. That absolute parallel can be drawn between that. It's just like by not stepping down, I can't even say that she's trying to make a political point, because I honestly don't think that she has the wherewithal to even formally resign. Like she would. Yeah.
That's it. Like, and so like under all this pressure, on Tuesday, May 9th, they made all these headlines like she's flying back to DC, but it's like, what? We know nothing still about her mental acuity right now. We know nothing about if she knows where she is at any given moment. We know nothing about her capabilities of voting yay or nay in a situation. I think it's really concerning. And I think really this comes down to her staff and Democratic leadership. And like, I think the term elder abuse can be used here.
Yeah. I think that is a really salient point to make, is that it's not only not within California's best interest, it's not within her best interest. And I honestly don't really give a shit about Dianne Feinstein's best interest, but like if an argument can be made that this is detrimental to her, then anyone who is still advocating for her to remain in the Senate should really feel ashamed of themselves.
Right. We got Pelosi's daughter on Twitter being like, "Yay, my senator's back," and it's like, there's nothing good about any of this. This all feels wrong.
Yeah. It's, I mean, there's so many people in Congress that are, I think, I was watching a video of Mitch McConnell today that I was like, dude, this guy's like on the mental decline as well. Like there are so many of our congressional members in the House and the Senate that have long outlasted their usefulness in those roles. And
it's a gerontocracy. In no other field do you have the average age being like 67 or something.
Right.
It's not normal. It's something that it's fairly unique to our country. I'm sure there are other countries like this too, but it really
oligarchies.
is sort of, it's an oligarchy, and we are an oligarchy, right?
Yeah.
So like that's our reality. That's what we deal with. And those other folks that are in office who are also dealing with mental decline, they're wondering, when am I next? And so they're going to defend her tooth and nail.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that Pelosi's mental capacity is above, scrutiny as well. It's pretty clear whenever she's talking that she potentially, she shakes a lot when she speaks. You can tell that she's often fatigued, and it's like, come on, again, just like clear the way, for God's sake. Like, just clear the way,
Yeah. And again, it's not just the women, right? Like,
no,
Biden,
Biden,
listen
Mitch
to Biden
McConnell,
talk at length.
I watched my maternal grandmother got shingles when she was 84, and she was never the same person after that. Like, so much of her changed, and then she ended up dying of dementia. And this is not to say that every story is the same, but we have seen many a piece on the, like, what happens, especially to an older adult who gets that diagnosis and who was, like, I suspect somebody who's already living with the things that she was, like,
Right. That's what I was thinking. It just exacerbates all those other things, right?
Totally. And, if it's true that she doesn't have the mental capacity to show up for her job, and therefore doesn't have the mental capacity to resign, like, what the fuck kind of shit show? It's gonna have to be like Weekend at Bernie's Part 17.
Yeah, who's on that? Whose job is it to, like, take grandpa's keys,
I mean, there's
like,
no 25th Amendment for Congress,
Yeah,
Right.
it is. It's we're living in interesting times. My thing on this is, since they were forced to fly her back to DC, I think I know the DC press, they are tough, and a lot of really uncomfortable stories are going to come out in the next few weeks. And you made your fucking bed, and now you all have to sleep in it, and now she has to fucking suffer through this.
Mhm.
And like, I just don't think any of this is smart. I think we know what should have happened. She should have stepped down, and here we are.
Yeah.
Here's to that.
Here's to it.
Here's to that. Yeah. So let's I guess let's run it out. Did we have anything else to add? Anyone?
I feel like that was a nice little package.
Okay.
It was
for
such a good
Dianne.
package.
Great package for you today, folks. Let's wrap this up. And I guess we'll see y'all next week. We're only a month away from our summer break. I feel like this season flew by.
Hot damn.
Ooh.
Yeah. Could have been the Flo thing, running for mayor. Sped things
Who?
up.
What?
Ever heard of her?
What?
Flo? Dr. Flo?
Never heard of.
FloForMayor.com. You can go to that website and sign up as a volunteer. You can
Ooh, I gotta call them
contribute to
back.
her campaign. It's a people-powered movement, I'm being told. Sources are telling me right now. Oh, what's that? Yep, it's a people-powered movement. So if you want, folks, go down to that website and become a part of that campaign. Otherwise, whatever. That was just me talking. Let's end the show, and we will see you all next week.
Sweet.
Perf. Bye bye.